National Pollinator Week was celebrated across the country recently, so the Salisbury Zoo took time to recognize our pollinators, the hardest little workers that keep Delmarva growing. In fact, pollinators are so important the world over that the Salisbury Zoo took a day to recognize them with a special Pollinator Day. And the first thing we did was to make a beeline to the herb garden to look for some.
There have been wasps and butterflies and bees on here all day, and of course you came and now there's none.
Of course, well, that's my luck. But you can't keep a good pollinator down, and before long we're witnessing what makes pollinators such special creatures. How does pollination actually work?
Well, you have plants that have male organs and you have plants that have female organs. So if the bee goes in there and gets the pollen off the male organ and then flies to another plant and puts that on the female organ.
Voila! You have baby plants.
One out of every 3 bites of food that you eat comes from a plant that needs pollination. Now, pollinators, the bees and the insects that you saw aren't the only pollinators. Bats can be pollinators, hummingbirds can be pollinators, ants can be pollinators, and we're in such short demand with pollinators. Insecticides, herbicides have all played a role in their demise. Plus, the bees have had a disease the past couple of years, so they've been in big trouble. But companies now have hired people that actually do pollination in their confines. There's other companies that just raise bees, and those bees are hired out by farmers to pollinate their fields that used to be pollinated by the natives.
And plenty of pollinators have found the herb garden in Salisbury the place to go for nearly 40 years.
We call ourselves the Thyme Keepers. Yeah. And the original group was called the Lower Shore Herb Society. This garden was dedicated to the city of Salisbury by the Lower Shore Herb Society 36 years ago. So we've been here ever since that time.
And joining the herb garden is another pollinator-friendly space that's now been in place for 2 years. It was created by Eagle Scout Robert Sinesi and friends and comes complete with a busy beehive.
So for my Eagle Scout project, we decided to build this garden and install this bee box. Before it was just a bunch of bamboo shoots, so we had to get all of those up.
He had a whole bunch of his young friends, and they came in and took an old patch of bamboo up and cleaned the area up, got funding, and came to me with for the pollinators to help them with the bees, and went to Jenny Rosenkrantz to help with the design of the garden, and they got the funding and bought the plants and did it all at no cost to the zoo.
It has since become self-sustaining, and the bees in that hive produce this delicious honey.
It produces about 60 to 80 pounds a year. They need about 40 to 60 pounds of honey to live through the winter. So you can't take it all. You have to leave them with the majority of it. That's their food source. They worked all year. And this is a lovely place because there's so much green and so many different things that they can nourish on here.
And that's a major issue. Pollinators need food sources and places to lay their eggs. And that's how you can help the pollinator population from your own home.
We raise at home parsley, and we don't do it to eat the greens. I don't particularly like parsley, but we do it because the swallowtail butterfly lays its eggs on the parsley, because that's when they hatch into larvae. That's what they like to eat. This fennel was filled with the swallowtail caterpillars. The mother lays her eggs on there, and she knows that they will eat that. And it's amazing. We have a raised bed at home with the parsley in, and we put a net over it because the birds tend to like to eat the caterpillars. Well, I was out there, and here was this mother swallowtail, and she was frantically flying back and forth. I pulled the netting away, and she flew right in there. And in less than a minute, she was gone. She'd already laid her eggs.
She needed to lay those eggs.
And she knew exactly where to lay them. Carrot tops would be another one. They'll eat the carrot tops, and dill would be another one. That's sort of a leafy plant like that and like that. They don't even have to be full leaves. You know, you would think they would need. And they'll eat the parsley. They'll eat right down to the ground, but the parsley comes right back up again.
Yes, nature is a wonderful thing. So take the time to help out our local pollinators, some of the best neighbors a person can ever have.